Hi everyone, TARDIS Dynatrope here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the second Doctor story, the Krotons. So this is towards the end of Patrick Troughton's tenure as the Doctor. I think this is, his fourth to last story, because after this you have the Seeds of Death, Space Pirates, which only has one episode left of it, and the War Games. So yeah, it's pretty close to the end, and it's one of the ones that has all of his parts complete, which is quite lucky, because there are only 7 of them. And this is one of them, so yeah. So yeah, that's a good thing. Now, the story itself, it's Robert Holmes' first story for the series. And obviously he went on to write for another 20 years, I think. Is it? It might be just under, actually, but it is around that amount. He did go on until the middle 80s, so yeah, he does write for quite a long time after this, and he becomes somewhat of a Doctor Who legend and everything, writing stories such as Deadly Assassin. He wrote most of Pyramids of Mars, apparently, although that one went out under a pseudonym. Ark in Space, Carnival of Monsters, so on and so forth. So yeah, for his first story, it's alright. I mean, it's not kind of like a classic like his later ones would be, but for a first story it is quite good, I think. Now, the story was going to be a different one at first, which was kind of like this gender swap satire thing by another writer who I don't remember the name of, but that eventually got too confusing or something, and they decided to drop that story, and Terrance Dicks kept this one back, and yeah, basically used it as a backup in case any dropped out, and when that one dropped out, this one came in. So yeah, that's basically the origin of this story. Now, for the story itself, you get another quarry, representing the alien homeworld. I think in black and white, the quarries look slightly better. And yeah, I think that's good there. They look a bit more like alien worlds, and this one I think works quite well. I mean, the blend between studio and film, while it's obvious, it's not as bad. It's not as bad as it sometimes can be. I think this one, it works quite well, really. So yeah, there's that, which is got good for going for it. Now, the story itself is rather bland, and it's almost more like a First Doctor story, really, than the second Doctor one, because you got kind of like an alien planet and whatnot, no human real elements, like a lot of Patrick Troughton stories do. And it's a bit more of a morality tale in some respects. So yeah, it's definitely more akin to First Doctor stories, interestingly enough. Now, that's not to say that's a bad thing. I think it's quite interesting to see it like that, but yeah, I think for the second Doctor, it doesn't suit his storytelling that there was then. It fits a bit more with season 6, because they were a bit more experimental then than they were in season 5 and whatnot, which is really the defining season of Patrick Troughton. But yeah, I think still he's more of a First Doctor story, just featuring the second Doctor. Another thing that's good about this is that it's one of those stories. I'm not going to say a few because there are a fair amount of them. There are a fair amount of them don't. It's one of those stories that really grasps the companions and uses them to their strengths. It's not kind of like it could be any companions. It kind of has to be Jamie and Zoe in this one. I mean, sure, you could probably edit it for different companions, but I think it feels like it was written for Jamie and Zoe as companions. Because you got the bit with Zoe messing about with the machine, which is a very Zoe thing to do, I guess. And it's also interesting because it's not you know how companions sometimes mess about and get into trouble. I think it's a variation on that, but it's unique because of the way it's done with Zoe, kind of like her curiosity and brains and whatnot with a computer. And I think the look on her face, it's very good acting by Wendy Padbury afterwards when the doctor kind of says, yeah, she is somewhat of a genius. It can be quite annoying. It's got lines like that which are very good. Now the story itself is let down for the most part by the Krotons themselves, who are quite honestly probably the worst villain, design-wise, ever to be in Doctor Who. So I mean, they do, from the top half, they don't look too bad. I think the arms coming out of the front was a bit of a mistake. They did make him look a bit comedic, and I mean, you had the Quarks just a couple of stories before this, which weren't too good. Then you get onto this, which is even worse, to be honest. So I mean, there are some good parts about them, but for the most part, you know, they struggled to carry their gun, their claws, can I call them claws? Whatever they were quite odd. And then they had their skirt things, and they looked top heavy and whatnot, and they weren't really the best monsters design, I think. It's not really a flaw in fighting, but yeah, I just think the monsters themselves are quite bad. Also, the story itself is a bit formulaic in its structure. It's quite simple and formulaic, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I don't think it's too much of a good thing. And it's lucky it's a 4-part, because if it had been stretched over to a 6-part, then it wouldn't have worked whatsoever. So yeah, it's lucky because of that. Now, and yeah, there's that. So, I forgot to say earlier about how it was written for the companions. I said about Zoe, but I forgot to say about Jamie, sorry about that. But yeah, for Jamie, it's quite interesting because he goes to machine and whatnot and gets called primitive and everything, which again fits Jamie's character. And also at the start he tries to have a fight with that other character, which fits Jamie's character. So yeah, that's good. However, on that fight scene, it felt a bit detached, to be honest, because you got the whole thing about the character going into the thing at the same time. And honestly, the way it's cut, because they're in the same room, really, the way it's cut as if, kind of like, characters on one side of the room do their part while it's being filmed, then they stop and just watch the other characters do their part, then it swaps around, and it's quite bad, the structured thing. I'm not sure, that is probably one of the problems with the writing. I'm not sure that Robert Holmes intended it to be like that. Maybe they used the same room by mistake, I don't know, maybe they couldn't afford to make another room. It's hard to tell, maybe it is the problem with Robert Holmes' writing. It's hard to tell, to be honest, but either way, whether the reason is behind it, it doesn't work whatsoever, unfortunately. So, yeah, well, what's going on is good, it's just the way it's going on isn't good, I guess. So, I think that's about it, really. There is to say about this story. So overall, 6 out of 10, I think. Maybe 7, but I'm going to stick with 6. Because it is a good story, but it's not one of the greats compared to a lot of other Patrick Troughton stories and whatnot. So, yeah, I think that will just about do it for this episode. This review. Sorry about that. And, yeah, thanks for watching this review. And next week, I'll see you next Saturday with another review. Not sure what on yet, but I'll decide by then. Also, sorry for not reviewing the Mind Robber today. I said I would, but I ended up not. I decided to do the Krotons instead because I got the DVD recently. And, yeah, so anyway, that'll just about do. 6 out of 10 on the Krotons. Thanks for watching, everyone, and see you next Saturday. Bye, everyone.